Hello, dear fellow farmers. Welcome once more to this space where we reveal the best-kept secrets of the poultry world. I am your companion on this journey in this beautiful rural life, and today I have something really special to share with all of you. During more than 20 years of raising chickens, I have perfected a homemade concentrate recipe that has literally revolutionized my farm and my family's finances. In today's video, we are going to discover together how to prepare a concentrate for chickens that not only rivals the best commercial products, but surpasses them in nutritional quality, whilst reducing our costs by an incredible 70%. Imagine for a moment the impact this can have on your finances and on the health of your birds. If you find this content valuable, don't forget to give us a like, which motivates us so much to keep sharing this knowledge that has taken decades to perfect. And please, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell because every week we have new content that can transform the way you manage your farm. Your chickens will thank you, and so will your wallet. Let's talk about the reality of the cost of commercial concentrates. Allow me to be completely honest with you. When I started in this poultry world more than 2 decades ago, like many of you probably, I depended completely on commercial concentrates. Every month, I watched as a significant portion of my income vanished into bags of feed that, although they promised to be the best nutrition for my chickens, were really emptying my pockets without offering the results I expected. I vividly remember those days when I would arrive at the agricultural supplier and see the prices rising month after month. It was frustrating, especially when I realized that many of these commercial concentrates are full of cheap fillers, byproducts of questionable quality, and chemical preservatives that don't necessarily benefit the health of our birds. The truth that no one tells us is that the balanced poultry feed industry has turned something as simple as feeding chickens into a complex and expensive business. The profit margins of these companies are astronomical. And guess who pays those margins? Us, the small and medium-sized producers. But here comes the interesting part. One day, whilst talking with my grandfather, who had raised chickens his whole life without ever having bought a single bag of commercial concentrate, he asked me a question that changed my perspective forever. Son, do you think chickens need a factory to eat well? That simple question sparked a curiosity that led me down a path of research and experimentation that lasted years. My transformation began when I decided to really study what chickens need to thrive. I immersed myself in poultry nutrition books, consulted with specialized veterinarians, and, more importantly, carefully observed the natural behavior of my chickens when they had free access to different foods. What I discovered surprised me. Chickens in their natural state are incredibly efficient omnivores. They instinctively seek out the nutrients they need: protein from insects and worms, carbohydrates from seeds and grains, vitamins and minerals from green vegetables, and calcium from natural sources like snail shells and bones. The problem with many commercial concentrates is that they try to simplify this complex natural process into a single formula that is profitable to mass produce. But nature is much wiser than any factory, and when we start working with it instead of against it, the results are extraordinary. During my first experiments, I noticed dramatic changes in my chickens. Their feathers became shinier and silkier. Their behavior became more active and natural. The quality of their eggs improved notably, and surprisingly, their feed consumption became more efficient. It was as if they were finally receiving exactly what their bodies had been asking for all this time. Now we come to the heart of this knowledge that I have kept and perfected so much. This recipe is not just a casual mix of ingredients. It is the result of years of observation, trial and error, and a deep understanding of the nutritional needs of chickens at each stage of their lives. The fundamental ingredient of our mix is ground maize. Not just any maize, but the best quality maize we can get. Maize represents approximately 40% of our mix and is the main source of energy for our birds. It provides the carbohydrates necessary to keep their metabolism active and their body temperature stable, something especially important during the colder months. Ground soya constitutes another crucial component, representing about 30% of the mix. Soya is a complete protein that contains all the essential amino acids that chickens need to build muscle, produce quality eggs, and maintain a strong immune system. It is important to ensure that the soya is properly processed to eliminate natural anti-nutritional factors. Ground wheat, which forms approximately 15% of our mix, provides additional protein and digestible fiber. It also contains B-complex vitamins, which are essential for the bird's energy metabolism. Wheat helps create a texture in the concentrate that chickens find attractive and easy to digest. Here comes one of my best-kept secrets: fish meal. Although it represents only 5% of the mix, its impact is disproportionately large. Fish meal provides very high-quality protein and omega-3 fatty acids that significantly improve the nutritional quality of the eggs. Additionally, it contains amino acids that are difficult to obtain from plant sources. Bone meal represents another crucial 5% of our formula. It is our primary source of calcium and phosphorus, essential minerals for the formation of strong eggshells and the maintenance of the bird's bone structure. The correct ratio of calcium and phosphorus is critical. Too much or too little of either can cause serious health problems. We cannot forget sea salt, which, although it represents less than 1% of the mix, is absolutely essential. Salt provides sodium and chloride, electrolytes necessary for proper cellular function. However, the amount must be precisely controlled, as too much salt can be toxic to birds. The preparation of this concentrate is not just mixing ingredients. It is an art that I have perfected over years. The order in which we mix the components, the fineness of the grind, and even the storage, everything influences the final quality of the product. We always start with the dry grains. It is fundamental that the maize, soya, and wheat are completely dry before grinding them. Moisture can cause clumps to form during mixing and can promote mold growth during storage. I always recommend drying the grains in the sun for at least 2 days before processing them. The grind is crucial. The grains should be neither too fine nor too coarse. A grind that is too fine can cause respiratory problems in chickens and reduces palatability. But a grind that is too coarse causes the chickens to waste food by selecting only the parts they prefer. The goal is a consistency similar to coarse flour, where the particles are visible but not rough. During the mixing process, I add the ingredients in a specific order that I have developed through experience. First, the ground grains that form the base of the mix. I mix them completely before adding the fish meal, which must be distributed uniformly to prevent the formation of high concentration pockets that some chickens might reject. The bone meal is added gradually whilst I continue mixing. It is important that it is completely distributed because its uneven concentration can cause nutritional problems. Finally, I add the sea salt, which must be perfectly integrated throughout the mix. The mixing process takes at least 20 minutes of continuous mixing. It is not simply stirring, it is a methodical process where I make sure that every portion of the mixture has exactly the same composition. I use my hands to feel the texture and make sure there are no clumps or separation of ingredients. Once you implement this recipe on your farm, the changes you will observe in your chickens will be nothing short of extraordinary. In my experience, results begin to be visible within the first 2 weeks, but the full benefits manifest after about a month of consistent feeding. The first thing you will notice is a dramatic change in your chicken's behavior. They will become more active, more alert, and will show more pronounced natural behaviors such as scratching the ground, exploring, and socializing among themselves. This behavioral change is indicative that they feel better physically and have more energy available to express their natural instincts. The quality of the eggs will improve spectacularly. The shells will become notably stronger and more resistant. The yolks will have a more intense and rich color, and the overall flavor of the egg will be more robust and satisfying. Many of my neighbors have commented on the noticeable difference in the flavor of the eggs when I switch to this feed. Your chicken's plumage will undergo a beautiful transformation. The feathers will become shinier, silkier to the touch, and denser. The natural colors of each breed will intensify, and you will see that the chickens molt more efficiently and develop new plumage more quickly. The overall health of the birds will improve significantly. You will notice fewer incidences of common diseases, better resistance to parasites, and faster recovery when facing environmental stress. The strengthened immune system that results from superior nutrition is reflected in all areas of poultry health. Egg production will not only be maintained, but in many cases will increase. More importantly, the consistency of production will improve dramatically. Instead of erratic fluctuations in laying, you will observe a more stable and predictable pattern of egg production. Let's talk about real numbers, because at the end of the day, we all need our ventures to be economically viable. When I first calculated the cost of producing this homemade concentrate versus buying commercial concentrate, I couldn't believe the numbers. A 25 kilogram bag of commercial concentrate cost me approximately $40. With my homemade recipe, I can produce the same amount of concentrate for approximately $12. This represents a saving of 70%, exactly as I promised at the start of this video. But the real savings go beyond this initial cost difference. When chickens are better nourished, they eat more efficiently. This means they need a smaller amount of feed to maintain their body weight and egg production. In my experience, daily feed consumption per bird is reduced by approximately 15% when using this recipe compared to lower quality commercial concentrates. In addition, healthy chickens mean fewer veterinary expenses, fewer losses due to mortality, and greater productive longevity for each bird. I have calculated that the total savings, including all these factors, is close to 80% compared to the traditional commercial feeding system. To give you a concrete perspective, on my farm of 100 chickens, this change saves me approximately $200 monthly in feed costs. In 1 year, that represents $2,400 in direct savings, without considering the additional benefits in health and productivity. Preparing the concentrate is only half of the equation. Proper storage is equally crucial to maintain nutritional quality and prevent spoilage. Over the years, I have perfected my storage methods to ensure that every batch maintains its freshness and nutritional value. The storage container must be airtight and rodent-proof. I use food-grade plastic drums with lids that seal completely. Metal can work, but it can transfer unwanted flavors to the feed and is more susceptible to temperature changes. The storage location is critical. The concentrate must be kept in a cool, dry, and dark place. Exposure to direct sunlight can degrade important vitamins, especially vitamins A and E. Moisture is the mortal enemy of stored feed, as it promotes the growth of molds and fungi that can be toxic to birds. I always include reusable silica gel bags in my storage containers to absorb any residual moisture. These bags must be well sealed to prevent chickens from accidentally consuming them. I also place natural bay leaves in the container, as they act as a natural insect repellent without affecting the palatability of the feed. The principle of first in, first out is fundamental. I always use the oldest concentrate first to ensure maximum freshness. I label each batch with the preparation date and use a permanent marker to avoid confusion. Regular rotation of the storage area is important. Every 2 weeks, I move the container and clean the area around it to prevent the accumulation of debris that can attract pests. I also visually inspect the feed every time I use it, looking for signs of spoilage, color changes, or the presence of insects. One of the most significant advantages of preparing our own concentrate is the flexibility to adjust the formula according to seasonal needs and the specific circumstances of our flock. During my years of experience, I have developed variations of the base recipe that optimize nutrition according to different factors. During the winter months, when temperatures drop and chickens need more energy to maintain their body temperature, I slightly increase the percentage of maize in the mix. This adjustment provides the additional calories needed without overloading the bird's digestive system. In spring, when the peak laying season begins, I increase the proportion of fish meal and bone meal to support intensive egg production. I also add a small amount of dried brewer's yeast, which is rich in B-complex vitamins and improves the fertility of both cockerels and hens. During the summer, when high temperatures can reduce the bird's appetite, I adjust the recipe to make it more nutritionally dense. This means chickens can get all the necessary nutrients, even if they consume less quantity due to the heat. For chickens in the molting period, I prepare a special variation with higher protein content and sulfur amino acids, which are essential for the development of new plumage. During this critical period, proper nutrition can mean the difference between a fast and healthy molt versus a prolonged and stressful one. It is important to understand that this recipe is not just a casual mix of ingredients. It is based on solid scientific principles of poultry nutrition that I have studied and applied for decades. Each component has a specific purpose and contributes to a complete nutritional profile that satisfies all the needs of the chickens. The energy balance of the formula is carefully calculated to provide approximately 2,800 kilocalories per kilogram of feed. This energy density is optimal for adult laying hens and allows for efficient growth in young birds without promoting obesity. The protein content of the mix reaches approximately 18%, which is ideal for most productive stages. This protein comes from diverse sources that provide a complete profile of essential amino acids. Lysine and methionine, the most limiting amino acids in poultry diets, are present in adequate proportions. The calcium-phosphorus ratio is adjusted to maintain the optimal proportion of approximately 2.5 to 1. This ratio is crucial for proper eggshell formation and the maintenance of bone health. An imbalance in this ratio can cause serious health problems and a reduction in egg quality. Fiber levels are controlled to promote digestive health without interfering with feed efficiency. Fiber stimulates crop and gizzard function, improving the overall digestibility of the feed and promoting a healthy intestinal environment. Over the last few years, I have shared this recipe with dozens of producers in my community, and the results have been consistently extraordinary. Let me tell you some real stories that demonstrate the transformative power of this formula. Maria, a local producer with 50 chickens, was about to give up her egg business due to high feed costs. After implementing this recipe for 3 months, she not only reduced her operating costs dramatically, but also improved the quality of her eggs, to the point that she now has a waiting list of customers willing to pay premium prices for her products. Carlos, a young entrepreneur who started with barely 20 chickens in his backyard, has expanded his operation to more than 200 birds using exclusively this concentrate formula. His profit margins have improved so much that he can now constantly reinvest in the growth of his business. The Gonzalez family, who manage a third-generation family farm, had seen the profitability of their operation decline year after year due to the constant increase in commercial feed costs. After adopting this recipe, they not only regained profitability, but are now considering expanding their operation for the first time in a decade. These are not isolated cases. Every producer who has consistently implemented this formula has reported significant improvements both in the health of their birds and in the economic viability of their operations. Dear friends, we have reached the end of this nutritional journey that I hope has been as revealing for you as it was for me when I first discovered these principles. What we have shared today is not simply a recipe. It is a philosophy of poultry production that respects both the nature of our birds and the economic reality of our ventures. The nutritional independence provided by this formula goes beyond simple economic savings. It represents freedom. Freedom from volatile commercial feed market prices, freedom from questionable chemical preservatives and additives, and freedom to adapt our chickens' nutrition to their specific and changing needs. During more than 20 years in this beautiful poultry world, I have learned that the most effective solutions are often the simplest. Nature has perfected the art of nutrition through millions of years of evolution. Our role is not to reinvent this process, but to understand it and work in harmony with it. This recipe represents the culmination of decades of observation, experimentation, and continuous refinement. Each ingredient has been selected and proportioned based on solid scientific evidence and proven practical results in hundreds of birds over thousands of feeding days. I encourage you to implement this formula gradually, carefully observing your bird's response and adjusting as necessary for the specific conditions of your farm. Remember that every flock is unique, and although this recipe has worked consistently well for me and many other producers, always stay attentive to the individual needs of your chickens. The knowledge we have shared today is powerful, but its true value will only be realized through practical and consistent implementation. I encourage you to start with a small batch, document your observations, and adjust as needed. If this video has provided you with value and useful knowledge, please share it with other producers who may benefit from this information. The poultry community grows stronger when we share knowledge that can improve the lives of our birds and the viability of our ventures. Thank you for joining me on this journey towards a more independent, economical, and natural poultry farming. If this guide to transforming your farm's nutrition and protecting your economy has been valuable to you, don't forget to subscribe and like our channel. We are revealing the secrets of rural life that many prefer to keep hidden. It is time to cultivate your own independence. The next treasure of knowledge will open very soon for all of you.